Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, guys and gals. I am your host, Mr. Nice Guy, aka I Am Not Jack, aka the legendary Flying Failure. Welcome back to the Assassin's Creed Unity expert walkthrough. In our last video, we completed the very first mission with all optional objectives and no real trouble. If we had trouble in the first mission, then I probably would have just stopped right there, because if I can't do the first mission, there's just no point in even trying to do it. We met some of the key characters in the game, and our father died because this is a video game and that's what happens in video. Continuing on to our second mission. And it is right here, directly downstairs from where the first mission ended.
Thrown out onto the street yet?
Oh, you would love that, wouldn't you?
It'd break my heart.
Olivier, if I weren't here, who'd do all your work for you?
The horses need brushing, boy. Get to it.
Certainement, monsieur.
Sire de la Serre, wait! Nom de Dieu. Nom de Dieu, nom de Dieu.
Some trouble, mon ami?
A letter for Sire de la Serre. It's very important.
Oh, calm yourself, Perrault. That letter won't reach Monsieur de la Serre any faster if you drop dead of exhaustion. Give it here. I'll catch
You
him.
must receive it today. It's very...
Very important. Yes, I heard you the first time. I'll see that he gets it.
I would like to point out that Arno basically just flat out told that guy,
Stop!
"You are too fat to chase a carriage."
Make way, make way!
Now, for missions like this, it's important to pay attention to your environment, because a lot of times there will be subtle clues as to where you need to go. In this particular instance, there was a lift that made it fairly obvious that you need to take a lift. Got a ramp here. This is pretty straightforward. If you're paying attention, it's not difficult to tell where you need to go. And as always, remember to hold, if you're playing Xbox One, either B or circle if you're playing on PlayStation 4, to vault over obstacles to get through here quickly. But this is the path that we will take to get us to the carriage.
Monsieur de la Serre! Please excuse. Wrong carriage. What I need is a bird's eye view.
Now, in the last video, I actually already climbed this church and synchronized this viewpoint, because I completely forgot that I was going to do it in this video, so we've already done this, but we're going to do it again. As before, the route you need to take is about as obvious as it gets. Control in this game doesn't always quite go the way I want it to. I apologize. It's not going to cause us any major issues, that I can... This may actually not be the same point that we already in fact, I'm quite certain it isn't. Xbox mute.
There you are.
Conveniently enough, the synchronization point is right next to exactly where we're trying to get to. And this is going to be our first real stealth mission. As before, you cannot screw this up unless you're an idiot. You're invisible when you're in crowds. I can be literally right in front of this guy, and he will not see me as long as I stay in the crowd. However, when I leave the crowd, I am visible. So if I leave the crowd, I want to make sure that I'm heading for another crowd. It's that simple. So we're going to work our way around to the left. Normally these people will get the hell out of your way, but apparently today they're not. We got spotted for just a second there, and you can see where we left our last known location marker. He will look for us there and no further. Once we get up here, we simply want to watch this guard right here in front of us. Let me try that again.
Move back, or I'll move myself. Then you think.
There we go. As soon as he turns around, we are clear to move up and walk in the building. There's a chest on the right there. We can get it. It is fully accessible, but it's much easier to do if you simply come back when you're not. From here, we simply walk through.
Restons-en là, voulez-vous?
Now, coming up here, there's going to be something that's rather interesting, and I'll show you guys in a moment.
Un long intervalle s'était écoulé depuis les dernières tenues des états généraux.
It's one of the best parts, one of the primary reasons that I enjoy playing these games is to see historical events and historical people, and they don't get much more historical
Finally!
than the King of France.
Not these two again. Must have tailed me from the
La
estate.
dette de l'État, déjà immense, à mon avènement au trône, c'est encore
Alright, so Dipshit and Captain Chuckles followed us here.
une guerre
Guys will not get out of my way. There we go.
en a été la cause.
Our new objective is to go backstage, and we have a database entry. King Louis XVI. Louis was never meant to be king, but his father died in 1765, followed by his two older brothers. When his grandfather, Louis XV, died in 1774, he came to a throne for which he was ill prepared. Louis and his wife would fail to provide France with an heir for 7 years, to the derision of the French people. Even the celebration of their wedding day would end in tragedy, with the death of 100 Parisians following a stampede at a fireworks display. An indecisive man, in the words of one deputy, the king spent his whole life saying each evening that he was mistaken the same morning. As his younger brother, the future Charles X, would say, not without irony, trying to get Louis to hold a position was like trying to hold greased billiard balls together. His 19-year reign would become increasingly agitated since the court was incapable of reform. Louis XV had merely covered up the nation's problems without actually resolving anything, which actually sounds an awful lot like what politicians do today, really. His heir wished to be called Louis the Severe to contrast with the pervasiveness and debauchery of his grandfather, but as far as public opinion was concerned, he would be Louis the Weak. What decisions he actually managed to make turned against him. The war with England, support Franklin and Washington would ruin the kingdom, and by 1789, debt-ridden France had reached a state of virtual bankruptcy. This situation was exacerbated by the trade treaty with London. The British, who were way ahead of the French technologically, inundated France with industrial products, spelling ruin for French artisans. Some of these products would even be used in revolutionary riots. While food shortages were due to bad crops and weather, those who were hungry blamed them on the rich. Meanwhile, pampered and pensioned in Versailles, far away from their roots, the nobility had become another adversary that would further undermine the system. The same went for the lower orders of the clergy, who shared the general misery of their flock. The king didn't see it coming. The nobles would bring about a revolution to which they too would fall victim. In the summer of 1791, with the revolution heating up, Louis approved the perilous plan to secretly flee from Paris to the supposedly loyal troops in the east. The royal family's arrest at Varennes would spell the end of the absolute monarchy. On August 10th, when the grounds of the Tuileries were invaded, Louis took refuge in the National Assembly, but the damage was done. Shortly thereafter, he was stripped of his power, arrested, sent to the medieval fortress of the Temple, and from there to his doom. His trial was brief and ultimately only for show. Witnesses who testified in his favor were massacred in 2 instances, while the documents that could have proved him innocent were not passed on to his defenders. In short, it was a travesty. The judges had all but decided on the verdict from the onset. The absolute monarch, who didn't even reign over his court, was influenced by all those who surrounded him. When asked, what should I do, he asked the reactionary French writer Rivarol in September 1789. Act like a king, came the reply. If only. Louis, who had a passion for geography and great exploration, and whose hobbies were locksmithing and carpentry, was simply not cut out for this job.
On a été la suite nécessaire et a rendu plus sensible leur inégal.
One of the things I think what makes this franchise work best is when people get painted in shades of gray. Because historical figures that we frequently think of as being good, we definitely get to see a bit of their darker side. And Louis XVI is definitely more or less cast as a villain historically, due to the events of the French Revolution, and in reality, may not necessarily have been the case. So, puts an interesting historical spin on things.
So, who or what will take its place? Another king? A council of capable men?
That is the question, isn't it?
A truce, then.
What the devil was that about?
Now, we can resolve this without recourse to violence, can't we?
Get him, Hugo!
I suppose not.
Get him, Hugo!
So this is actually not a difficult optional objective to complete, which we don't have yet, likely. But it's the first one that you could very easily... miss, simply because it's entirely possible to kill these guys
Easy, big fella.
before you've managed to complete it. So they're going to attack you one at a time. The big guy here uses heavy attacks.
Crush him! Let's see you run away this time. Hold them still, you know. No rich old man to save you now. Get him, Hugo! Think you can steal from me? Ready for a beating?
What you want to do is to simply make sure that you dodge and parry
Your day, is it, Victor?
until the optional objective is complete.
To your health, gentlemen.
You boy! So, what are you doing there?
Running!
He's getting away!
These are city guards. They're going to chase us. They're not very good at it. I'm going to duck through this building. There's the marker that shows that they've lost track of us. Climb this fence. I'm going to climb this fence. Duck through this building. And at this point, we're pretty well lost.
No getting back in there now. Catch them back at home, I suppose.
And that is mission 2 complete. The only real issue here is you want to make sure that you don't kill those two fools that we just fought before you manage to complete all the parries and dodges you need for the optional objective. And we finally get a tutorial on free running, about 3 missions after when we needed a tutorial on free running. So, yeah, that. Now, there is another object we see on our map here that I don't have any intention of showing you where they all are, because if you synchronize the viewpoints, you will find them on the viewpoints, and they're quite easy to locate. These are cocottes. These are the badges. I'm trying to get a good shot of it. There we go. These are the badges that were worn during the French Revolution to indicate essentially that you were loyal to the revolution. They are little collectibles in the game, not all that important, but if you get all of them, you can get some pretty sweet equipment. We are not going to do that because I'm not going to have any trouble. That's not going to be. The other thing that we see here are chests. Chests are very simple. They contain money. There's really no reason not to grab them. I'll go ahead and show you guys. This one is unguarded, so it probably isn't going to have very much money in it, but anything is better than what we currently have. Money is also not hard to come by in this game. You're going to earn money for virtually everything that you do. So we're not going to be too worried about money. Uh-oh. If you crash into guards, they go chasing after you. I really shouldn't have done that. I didn't mean to, but it just kind of came out. Fortunately, they're just as dumb as all the other guards we come across, so it's simply a matter of... merchants. This is merchants. Merchants are very important in this game because unlike in Assassin's Creed Black Flag and in Assassin's Creed 3, we do not have regenerating health. We have to use healing items if we lose health, which kind of harkens back to the way Assassin's Creed 2 worked. Now, the general upside there is, for the most part, we really shouldn't lose very much health if we're careful. Most of the time we're not going to be in combat, and so the majority of the health will fall. However, every now and then I will do something magnanimously stupid and heavy. So there you go. Now this is our next objective, and this is not a mission. This is simply a cutscene. And it will activate immediately. Oh, this one is a mission. Never mind. Apparently I seem to recall that there was a cutscene there, but we are going to go ahead and cut the video here. I'm going to be picking up right where we left off, but I'm cutting it here just to keep these videos short, so hopefully it'll be easier for you guys to watch, and more importantly, easier for my partner to edit. But once again, this has been Mr. Nice Guy, aka I Am Not Jack, aka the legendary Flying Failure. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Like, subscribe, and comment. And let me know if you have any questions or if there's anything that we're not showing that you want to see. You can email me, MrNiceGuyLFFODD@gmail.com, and I will be happy to answer any questions that you have. But we are going to go ahead and cut the video right here and pick it up right where we left off in just a short while. Peace out, guys.